Hey everybody, sorry about the view. I've been working in a really hot room. 30 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but 30 degrees Celsius. That's the magic temperature for my 3D printer. My 3D printer is an Elegoo Mars 2 Pro, and I've been doing some calibration tests on exposure and everything else. I finally come out with the right exposure due to this test. Some of you might be familiar with it, some of you might not. If you're using a resin printer, this is heck the best test that I've found so far, because it'll print like this. Guess what? That's 4 different exposure times on one. Makes it so much easier to compare. And you can knock off a lot of this crap and just go to the posts and the letters. And that's what I did. I just went to the posts and the letters. Unfortunately, it became so stiff and hard and cured that I couldn't get it off of the build plate without breaking it. And I know everybody's like, where are you looking at? But it's unfortunate the screen actually offsets. This is excellent. The only thing I'm using now is literally the posts and bars. And this little section here tells you everything you need to know, because you're going to eventually get to a point where not all the posts print, but all the holes are there. And then you're going to go down in time until all of the posts print, but yet you ain't getting no holes. Now, the last 2 posts at the very top and the last 2 holes at the very top are going to disappear completely when you're dead on. And that's the best exposure time. Your holes in your pins will start then. I found out that my exposure time with the Elegoo standard gray resin 2.0 is 1.63 seconds for the amount of heat in the room and everything else. Now, I'm going to buy the parts to build a in printer heater, because I don't like to be that hot. It feels like 90 degrees to me, and I don't like being that hot because I'm a big guy. I sweat. But that's dead on accurate for me. I get just the same amount of posts as I do holes. Everything prints clearly and crisply. I just started to print 2 3-bay hoppers. When that's done, which will take about 2.5 hours, I'm going to show them off tomorrow. And that's my update for right now. I'm not going to switch resins again. I have already got this programmed into my Chichu box. This is actually from a company. You have to download their program, and it's its own slicer. I gotta remember what this company is, so give me 1 second while I reopen my computer. Okay, it's called UV Tools. You'll have to look it up and download it to a torrent. I can't flip over to show my computer right now. You'll have to download it through a torrent. It's freeware. It's out everywhere. It's on the internet. You download it. You take and move a model that you already cut off of your slicer that you do use. Like me, I use Chichu box, and that's just the way it's spelled. So to me, that's what it says. It's just Shih Tzu box, spelled with a C. Shih Tzu box. So I'm not trying to cuss. It's literally the way it's spelled. I do use Autodesk Fusion 360 to edit the models that I find off of Thingiverse. Unfortunately, when you get some things off of Thingiverse, holes are a bit too big for the Microtrains pins and Atlas pins and everybody's bolster pins to fit into if you're just trying to swap over trucks. For most pins, it's 1.8 millimeter. I unfortunately just printed a bunch of hopper cars off thinking, hey, yeah, the great model, to go to put the pins in it and find, this hole is a bit too big. What do I do? So I shoved the wood in there, drilled it out with a 1.8 millimeter drill bit, and got the pin to stay. So I sit there and went, well, how can I fix this? And I tried the other generic CAD programs out there, including Tinkercad, and I couldn't get something that was easy. It was simple. I could just make a little can, drill a hole through it, and make it tall, and then put it in the model. I can do that with Fusion 360. I can literally draw a circle, put a hole through the middle of it, and then make it taller, and then move it up, down, left, right, until it's lined up with the model that I'm trying to put a new bolster pin hole in. Alright. I also used it to make a flat bar to go completely down the length of the frame, the width of the frame, to go up and meet up with the front and rear of the car, so that way, guess what? I have a solid straight frame just like what's on every single hopper car out there. So that way when I go and want to body mount later, I can simply just drill a hole and body mount the coupler. Oh man, some of the people that design some of these cars and put them up online don't really think, well, okay, this is how my little Teglo car looks. I'm just copying exact measurements. And we could do a lot better. We could. We don't have to just scan in and throw it in there. We can do a lot better. And it doesn't take but 20 minutes. I edited that in 20 minutes off of Fusion 360. And granted, it was an hour of fighting to learn how to use it. But once I figured it out, it was very simple, very quick, and extremely easy. So, yes, there's a learning curve on everything. That's the easiest one that I've found by far, is Fusion 360. You can get it for free as a hobbyist. I'd say go ahead and download that. Granted, it only lets you do 10 things that you're tinkering with at the point in time, but once you save it and post it to their website and save it on your computer, bam, you can delete it and go to the next one. So that's what I do. That way I've got, 10 saves still left that I could go work on another project. I do one project at a time, makes it real simple, real easy. Next one I'm going to be working on is a 50-foot boxcar and maybe couplers. Yes, I said couplers, trucks, and wheel sets. And my aim is to get my models to work good, if not perfectly, at the lowest price to me. Granted, I'd like to have them looking good too, and that's the reason why I offset the brake wheel on this thing and made sure everything was in line. However, in order to do that, I have to print it absolutely facing straight up and down, just like the real thing. So it's got to go and have supports all inside and around the top edge of the hopper car in order to print right. But it should print right. Now that I've got my exposure times dead on, as I know enough light is going to hit it to actually produce the model and harden it correctly, but not so much light as it makes a big blob, and not so little light that it'll just fall apart. That one little test from UV Tools. It's called their exposure test. I was using 3 or 4 different types before that, trying to get it, and unfortunately you could print one at a time. Took forever to dial in, and you couldn't have the print come out with the numbers on it. UV Tools, okay, will do multiple exposures at the same time by lightening up just certain pixels for the amount of time that you want it to light up per test, and lists on those tests how long each little square was exposed to the light. Perfect test. Because you can do, well, without how small I was doing it last, I could probably done 20 tests on one sheet. And just took a look at it after I dipped it in alcohol and got it all cleaned up nice and softly and just blotted it down with a paper towel. I could read that with the bare naked eye just by tilting it in the light of the room, see every hole, every post, and then I just looked to see what was the best one that had the posts completely correct with the same number of posts, same number of holes. And I think there's like 8, probably 10 posts there. I got 9 on each. And I would always be 1 or 2 short. Now, I'm thinking that top one, that top smallest hole and smallest post is literally there as this is supposed to fail. If both sides fail, you're dead on. If one side prints and there's no hole, there's a post but there's no hole, or there's a hole but there's no post, there's a problem. Probably underexposed, not overexposed. Or probably overexposed, not underexposed. If you get a post, it's overexposed. If you get a hole, it's underexposed. That's perfect in my book. And that post is fine. I'd say it's only about a pixel. And then the next one, the one right next to it, is probably about 4 pixels. And that 4 pixel post and that 4 pixel hole, printed. That's some fine detail. So I just wanted to give you guys that little bit of a tip. I'll be back to working on my models later. You'll see plenty of my 3D printed stuff on my layout soon. Y'all have a good one.